Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Simon and we are the Whales of Wall Street. Today we're going to be going through a token or crypto asset called SOLVE, which is SOLVE on the exchange, and this relates to Solve Care. Now without further ado, I'm going to go straight into the browser and explain exactly what this awesome healthcare gem is all about. So this is basically a blockchain that's going to try and improve the digital health network and hopefully improve some administrative costs and things like that as well. So this very much serves kind of like insurance companies, people like the clinical organizations, so hospitals or independent clinicians, and also employers. So when I mean employers, I mean like corporations who perhaps have kind of like healthcare plans for their employees and things like that. Predominantly it's based around an application which you can download on the app. Currently, I might add, it's only in the US, but we will go on to that in a moment in regards to essentially their plans for almost a worldwide domination in this arena. So it's very interesting application, this kind of blockchain, and we'll go into the tokenomics as well, why Solve is important to this mechanism as well. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to pick out here, which is on the screen right now. So just to give a bit of emphasis as to what these little bits and pieces are, the Care Wallet is essentially what you would carry around with you via the app. Care cards are essentially what allows you to obtain your data and keep your data, your health sort of data and things like that. Within these wallets as well, that you can also take with you. You have full control because like the know your customer KYC. You have secure data, belongs to you, and you know there's no sort of in terms of fraudulent activity on insurance claims and things like that. It's all stopped or prevented by using blockchain technology moving forward. So and there's a couple of other things here. Of course, as I mentioned with the Solve token, we will go into that as well. And we'll also go into a bit of the information around how this solve token works and what you would use it for. And I guess we can sort of kickstart that. So as I've mentioned, these are the sort of clients that they would serve with the Solve Care solution. We've mentioned a couple of them already with insurance companies, employers, and also things like government agencies. So the healthcare market is absolutely gigantic. You've obviously got companies like Bupa, for example, out there with similar apps that they now utilize, like Babylon. That's something we have like personally at work as well. That gives you the opportunity to speak to a clinician or a pharmacy employee via video chat or via a phone call. It has all your medical details on there, securely. And you can also share those details with the GP. So it's all running on one sort of network and system. The only difference, of course, between like the Boop ones and this kind of thing at the moment is basically blockchain technology and why the tokenomics and why this element of a solution is going to basically revolutionize the way we do healthcare moving forward. So a couple of bits here of some kind of like case studies. I won't go into massive gigantic detail because I can do another couple of videos in the near future. But for example, non-emergency medical transportation. Now, this is quite interesting. So this is a bit of old news from a couple of years ago. So you can see that they've already developed this kind of platform and technology for the last few years. So in America, they're utilizing the Uber Health fleet, or the Uber kind of car company, taxi company services. And this will allow essentially things like scheduling appointments. You would use the Solve token to essentially pay for the rides. And of course, what it's trying to do is reduce the admin and things like that as well, associated with healthcare. So if you've got like non-emergency appointments, when I was talking perhaps in a video recently, like Fetch AI, for example, when you're talking about like IoT and AI and machine to machine learning, this is the kind of thing I mentioned about healthcare and the way that when we eventually have sensors within us, I know it sounds a bit mental, but it's definitely coming. It's going to be on an algorithm where if you've booked a doctor's appointment, all of a sudden everything around you is automatically done for you. So you don't need to worry about anything. So the taxi will come and pick you up, or the non-emergency vehicle, take you to the medical center that you're going to and bring you back. And it's all scheduled based on the time, based on the algorithms and everything that the machines have learned by themselves. in application to the services like this. So forget the principle kind of thing of AI, but think on a bigger system on how it will all work. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, this application and opportunity, of course. So this is just one element of how the tokenomics would work, taking you to appointments and things like that. So here we go, Solve token. So ignore these prices, obviously quite old. We'll go into that shortly in regards to pricing. But yeah, I think it's very much a really interesting project here. I think like for independent new clinics, I think this is a really good idea because it actually allows you to essentially obviously like I'm sure in the medical industry, there's a lot of money floating about anyway, even if you're a startup. But this allows you to expand essentially globally eventually, but more importantly, outside of your own remit of a local community kind of thing. So you're actually opening yourself up to multiple regionals, applications and multiple across the country kind of thing as well. So you think like how Uber started with like 1 or 2 states, and now it's exploded across America and across the world. This is what's allowing essentially clinics and things like that to be able to expand as well. So, and also things like I mentioned with the Babylon app, you got to think of things like like the pandemic that we've had recently, and it's similar to like the banks. Yeah, the banks have obviously had essentially a massive reset occurring, loads of banks closing down, and they're kind of restructuring the way we're doing finance and banking. And I feel like that's the same thing with the medical transformation as well. And I think that this kind of thing will really pick into that. I just wanted to pull out something here. This is a very cool little article made by this guy called Kevin Beeman, and he's just put a little emphasis around here about the tokenomics. So by way of illustration, of course, so this is basically a pinch of salt, just as an example of an average or an estimated application of these tokens. So let's say there's, for example, a company has asked for 2,000 wallets. There are 100,000 members or staff members using the wallets. Now, CareCoin is basically the payment structure used by essentially the payment provided to the clinicians and the physicians. So it has a stable value, and it's essentially backed by issue of like the insurance companies and that. So there's no fixed supply, and it's non-tradable. So this isn't something you can buy on the exchange. And then, of course, we just mentioned about the ride services. So here's the assumption. A provider wallet is approximately $120 annually. The member wallet fee is $24 annually. And then the member wallet represents a family of 3. So let's say you've got a family of 3 and you're all invested or using this kind of application. Average cost of a doctor visit, $160 net so cooperative pay. And then each member, on average, visiting the doctor 3 times a year. So that's 9 visits per wallet. CareCoin emission fee. So obviously this is where they start making a bit of their money. And then we go into average ride cost, $15. That's probably pretty accurate. And then the Solve token. Now at the moment, actually, the price is 4 cents. But what I will say is that in the past, on 2 or 3 occasions, it has been averaging around the sort of 40 to 50 cent mark. So let's just keep that in mind. And as well about the cost of how that affects things in the future as well. So here's kind of an average of how many tokens you are required per year. So as a client per year, based on all these calculations and the assumptions of 25 cents, 22.3 million. Now we'll go into how many are available in a short while, but it just gives you an indication of if you're talking about billions of tokens, you think, oh, that's a lot. Well, actually, it can get sucked up quite quickly. So depending on the increase in the token price will reduce the number of tokens required for a given spend, and vice versa as well. So that's how that kind of works. It's really interesting application to it, and it gives you a rough indication of what's kind of achievable with this. And other bits of information here as well, which I found quite interesting. In terms of case studies and bits of news. This is quite a recent one, actually. So one of the most world-leading neurosurgeons or neurological clinicians has actually joined Solve Care. This is a good initiative of people with massive expertise knowing what this is about and getting involved. And this is the sort of thing I love to know about when I'm looking into a project. All the really good things that you wouldn't necessarily hear on mainstream news, but you can see particularly things like this. And there's some massive disease names here that he's involved with. And that for me is huge, because I know for a fact there's a gigantic amount of money behind pharmaceuticals in terms of drugs and things like that for these sorts of things. And when you've got someone like this coming into fruition of Solve Care and other medical applications like this, it just rings positivity to me. Absolutely. And another thing as well, I haven't got stupidly put the webpage up, but please do check it out yourself. They do have at the moment, I think, visibility in 20 countries quite recently, but because of the smart contracts and the oracles, they have started using Chainlink. So that's very interesting. Adopting not only their own blockchain emphasis, but utilizing projects like Chainlink to help with their smart contract element. And that's when you pull in things like the data application, know your customer kind of thing, how quickly and efficiently the transactions between clients, members, owners of the wallets and things all pay each other with smart contract technology, of course. So it's really, really interesting. This is just very top of the line information I'm giving you here, and forgive me if it's a bit of waffling. I wanted to chuck this video out there because it's absolutely fascinating to me. They're just progressing and progressing as the years go by. Forget the price. I'm more interested in like the market caps and things like that, and all the news that's coming out, because you've got to anticipate in the next 5-10 years, as we're going through the global reset and Agenda 30 is kicking in, that these kind of things are in their infancy. Yes, the prices are in their infancy, yes, but the potential of the project is absolutely gigantic. And if you do know anything about pharmaceutical industry, or you don't know anything, do some research. Honestly, the amount of numbers in terms of monetary value of this market is substantial, unfathomable. And when, like I mentioned in previous videos, when they say, oh, we need X amount of money coming into the overall crypto market cap for all the prices to hit this, and this, it will come, trust me, because there is no doubt in my mind, based on these kind of projects and other projects around the world and ones that I know of personally, there's no doubt that this will kick in a lot of funding into the crypto markets, into the tokenomics, and particularly with projects like this, they will continue to grow massively. And it is so early. That's not financial advice. That's just my opinion on everything that I know and have done research on. And like I said, I recommend you doing your own research on any of the projects that you get involved with, and any investments at all as well. Please do check out this Solve Care website. There's so much to it. It's really cool. Like I said, great case studies, great opportunities, great applications to the tokenomics. And one thing I will mention as well with the Solve token, so that is obviously the utility token for everything to pretty much work and be paid for. So that's required to use the platform and the services. It's a fixed supply, the price is variable, and it's obviously, like most things, based on supply and demand, which will obviously affect the amount of tokens, as we just mentioned, needed to be used to purchase things or be able to have services. Another thing I really liked, really quickly, because I do know a few diabetics out there personally, so obviously a difficult condition to relate to, but they've actually got things like teen care networks now and the diabetes care networks. This allows you, because you're part of the community, and this is what I love about things like this, it's not all about money as well, of course. There are elements of networking and the opportunity for people to talk to each other and build networks of their thoughts and their feelings about diabetes and other diagnosis, clinical issues that they might have. And I think that's what it's about. There's so many great projects out there like Macmillan and other organizations that do this thing on a regular basis, but because a lot of things, like we've just seen with the lockdown, a lot of people feel lonely, or perhaps feel like they don't want to express themselves physically, but they're happy maybe to do so via the app and communicate via message and things like this. This sort of thing is being developed quite easy. And how cool is this as well? So they're rewriting how healthcare is explained. I think this is fantastic. This is for all elements of life, various ages. It's a nice essential storybook of care cards, how to express your feelings, or how to acknowledge other people's feelings and diagnosis of things. They're really sort of thinking outside the box. And that's what I love about these kind of projects. It's not just about the fundamental value of the costs and things like that and the price of the tokens. It's what they're doing. What are they doing that's different to everyone else? I haven't seen things like this in a lot of other projects and companies out there that have been around for decades or even centuries in medical institution care and offering of service. I haven't seen this level, and it's so early. These guys, I think, are Korean based, and I'm pretty sure they're going to spread across the world very quickly in the number of years. As I said, development of apps, development of healthcare, as we're seeing it today. Hospitals obviously closing down like with banks. That's why I made the reference to it. It's all part of the Agenda 30 program: sustainability, diversification, reduction in potential population, and creating sustainability everywhere, emissions, etc. It's all about this application, and these guys are very clever. They've seen the opportunity and they're taking it to another level 100%. So I think it's really interesting. Of course, things like the wallet subscription, how many wallets, etc., all using the Solve token, how to work. And of course, the wallets need to work with the care cards. So that's where the tokens cover the costs and things like that of rides, etc. So there's so much to this. It's so cool. And I will do another video once I've broken it down a bit more. Apologies if this is going on for quite some time. I wanted to try and keep this under 10 minutes, but I'm just too excited about it. So let's go straight into the pricing section side of things. So a couple of elements here. So market cap currently at the $19 million. So it's still very early days, but I think there's massive opportunity for movement. Circulating supply. As I've said, there's quite a lot there at the moment, but as you've seen from the tokenomics side, that can be sort of washed up very quickly, to be honest. So let's keep an eye on how the tokenomics will work, and in terms of burning and things like that as well moving forward. And as I've mentioned, the price point at the moment is 4 cents. Now, I would like to just draw attention. I need to look into what on earth happened here when it went up to 60 cents. But let's just be realistic for a second. And actually, historically, on a number of occasions, this has hit between sort of the 30 to 40 odd cent mark. And in particular, in the last cycle, a few months ago, we did hit the highs of around 52 cents. So let's ignore this particular day where it hit 60 and accommodate that actually in the next cycle, we should ideally be aiming for that as a minimum. And we could potentially see a bit higher than that as well in terms of the price points that we might see in the next cycle. But for now, I've drawn it on a macro realistic level. I would like to see us hit critical points first before we start going on about what we would deem as crazy prices. Obviously nowhere near other tokens, but let's forget prices at the moment. This means nothing. It's all about market cap and what the project is doing. That's what I'm more interested in. This doesn't tell me, oh, it's cheap or it's expensive. It just tells me that, okay, I've seen where we've gone before. This is a lot of it's been based around some great news that's come out, and of course general cycle modes and people talking about it on YouTube, etc., blah blah. But I'm not talking about this as a hype video. I'm talking about this as a project and as the experience or the knowledge that I have in those industries and applications. That's why I'm interested and that's why I'm sharing it. I'm not doing a price prediction kind of thing. I'm just giving kind of like an overlay of what we might expect moving forward in the next few months potentially. But like I said, I'm looking more interestingly kind of towards that, how quickly we'll get to that 10 cent mark. We've got a long way to go before that, but I do think that the bits of news that will be coming out in the next couple of months with this fantastic project, I'm sure we'll push it up naturally, as well as of course the intake and influx of general retailer and institutional investments as well. And I wouldn't be surprised either to see some bigger medical institutions taking note of these kind of products and either buying them up themselves to increase the price anyway, or just being generally partnered with them. In particular, these guys actually have some partnerships with, I think it's Boehringer, if I got that name correct. Boehringer England, obviously a massive medical institution. So they've now obviously, particularly with diabetes, now they've access to over 25,000 diabetes patients, which is fantastic. So creating the care circles and the care teams for type 2 diabetes patients, that's what I've just mentioned just a minute ago. that's the kind of thing we're going to be looking at with these kind of projects moving forward. More and more of those kind of things, more and more partnerships with bigger medical institutions, more and more integration with fantastically expertise of people like Dr. Undi here, and many more coming across in gigantic fields of knowledge. So guys, I hope you found this relatively interesting. Apologies if it was a bit of a waffle on for you guys, but I wanted to bring this to your attention. If you haven't heard about it before, please do your own research. And like I said, I will do another video as updates keep coming out on Solve. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm not invested personally, I'll be upfront about that. I'm just sort of doing a bit more research on it before I make a decision. I will let you know when I start investing in it. It will be probably quite soon, because I anticipate, of course, as the market is naturally starting to move in a positive direction over the last week or so anyway. So I'll keep you guys honest and open as always on this channel. So I hope you found it informative. Please do let us know in the comments below what you think. Are there any other medical orientated tokenomics or crypto assets out there that you want me to cover or look at? I think this is a fantastic opportunity. In terms of where it's available, I think it's Bittrex. And I think you can also get on KuCoin. On KuCoin, I believe it's only at the Bitcoin pairing at the moment, whereas on Bittrex you've got multiple options. So check that out as well. But I do think, in the grand scheme of things, of course, like 4 cents is obviously a good price point based on its previous history. It's higher than it used to be as a natural position, and we can see where it's been earlier in the market. So I do anticipate hitting those as minimum levels in this next run, and hopefully beyond that. We'll see. But yeah, hope you found it interesting. Please let us know in the comments below, and please do like and subscribe. Hit the bell button next to the subscribe button as well. Keeps you notified of any videos coming your way from ourselves. Other than that, guys, I hope to see you and Solve on the moon. We'll take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.